Have you ever wanted to start an Airbnb and you feel God nudging you forward, but you are terrified of messing up? And the fear actually keeps you frozen, so you never move? If that's you, this might be the moment God arranged for you today. Back in 2009, I bought my very first home. And it wasn't just any home. It was a model home, breathtaking, and fully upgraded. And after 1 year of just being displayed, the builder decided to put it on the market. That's when we grabbed it. We were excited, but that excitement blinded us to the fact that we were actually overpaying without knowing. And when the builder told us, "You don't need a realtor, we'll handle everything," we believed him. And as first-time home buyers, with no representation at all and no guidance, as a result, we walked right into one of the biggest financial decisions of our lives, based purely on emotion. Bad mistake. Excitement is beautiful until it blinds you. And it's funny how God works. Perfectly sovereign in every detail. So before my neighbor moved away, I casually mentioned my short-term rental journey to her. And months later, a stranger named Ashley texted me saying she met Patsy, my neighbor. And Patsy had told her, "You need to call Christine. She can help you." We talked. I answered her questions. And that whole conversation actually inspired me to make a video, because I realized there must be more Ashleys who need guidance. And then, as if God wanted to seal the moment, last Friday, a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time called me just to check on me. But in the middle of our conversation, she said, "Christine, I am trying to get into short-term rentals." Once she found out I'd been hosting for 2 years, the questions started pouring. I shared Ashley's video and the one where I turned my home into an Airbnb. You need to watch that. We talked until my family needed dinner. And then we continued the next day for over an hour. A lot of questions. That's when it clicked. These were not random conversations. They were confirmation. Everything I shared with them is exactly what someone else out there needs. That's why you are here today. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Christine. I've been hosting short-term rentals for the past 2 years. God opened doors for me in this space. And even though I made plenty of mistakes, He helped me to grow into a strong and consistent host. I actually became a super host just 4 months in. Not because I chased reviews, but because I discovered that I genuinely love serving people who walk through my doors. And now I share what I wish someone had shared with me, so you can start wisely, avoid unnecessary stress, and build something solid with God's help. So I told her every market has slow seasons and it has peak seasons. But when I first started hosting, I launched right at the beginning of the slow season. I had no idea seasons even existed back then. As a result, my expenses were higher than my revenue for months, and my 9 to 5 had to cover the gap. Totally unplanned. But that experience taught me that timing matters and wisdom can protect your peace. That's why I now tell beginners to launch right before the peak season and let that rising demand carry them. Sometimes the business isn't broken, the timing is. We also talked about AirDNA. It shows occupancy, revenue potential, and competition so that you can pick your location wisely. But data doesn't replace discernment, and it doesn't see what God is orchestrating. So lean not on your own understanding. Rely on God. Use data and rely on God. Information gives patterns, but revelation gives direction. You might be in a slow month and feeling discouraged. I've been there many times. But one big event, a concert, a tournament, a conference, and suddenly your listing is hot again. From there, you start to appreciate the power of your city's event calendar. Think about all the events that are happening around you. Your breakthrough month might be hiding in the event schedule. So think about that. Most people think that short-term rentals means renting an entire home. And yes, that works. But it's not the only way. And sometimes it's not the most profitable. I started by hosting an entire unit, and it did well. But later, I realized we had unused space in my own home, and instead of letting it sit, I turned it into income. I renovated part of my house. I added smart locks and began renting by room. If you want to see that journey, watch the video where I turned my home into an Airbnb. And Ashley's story is another great example of stepping out in faith. The space you are overlooking might be the space God wants to use. So when I bought that first home in 2009, I had to borrow $500 from a friend, and that should have been a sign I was stretching too far. But we were emotional and excited and inexperienced, which taught me big decisions require strategy. Years later, when my partners and I bought our short-term rental property, we borrowed almost the entire down payment and partnered without alignment. That was another mistake. But that pressure was a teacher. If I were starting all over today, I would begin with house hacking. You know, the rooms that I'm renting out in my home? That is where I would start. One room, one partition space, one basement. And I would let my 9 to 5 stabilize the journey and save intentionally. Later, I would consider a HELOC, maybe, once equity is real. If you want to go the route of house hacking, partition the rental space completely and give it its own entrance. So your privacy, peace, and taxes, they stay protected. Start small. Start safe. Start smart. You can do it. The short-term rental loophole. That's another one. It can offer tax benefits and boost your business financially. Look it up. But only if handled correctly. And not every CPA understands short-term rental. For that reason, find a tax professional who understands your business. They will help you. A single conversation can save you thousands of dollars. I couldn't afford to hire everything out, and that forced me to get creative. But God had already given me hands, imagination, and Dollar Tree resourcefulness. And that became the lesson. Your creativity is worth more than you think. Your creativity is actually currency. You can DIY many things, and that's helpful. But you cannot run a short-term rental alone. And burnout is real, which is why you need a real operations team. One primary cleaner, at least 2 backup cleaners, a reliable handman, someone for inspections. You build your team before you need them. Your team is the engine. You are the driver. People ask how I manage my short-term rental while working 9 to 5 and raising a family. But automation exists and handles 80% of the workload. So then, your short-term rental can run even while you're busy. Systems don't get tired, but they give you rest. We stand at the edge and feel God nudging us, and fear whispering louder in our ears. But sometimes God, in His mercy, pushes us off the edge, and the fall forces us to swim and grow and trust. From that moment, you learn. He meets you in motion. The dip is where the miracles happen. During my call with a friend, we'll call her Kathy, I told her how much I admired her business drive and her seriousness about financial stewardship. She laughed and said, Christine, tulitoka mbali. Tulitoka mbali, that's Swahili, means we have come from far. But that moment she said it, I felt it, because I knew exactly what she meant. I too have come from far, really far, and I don't say that lightly. At 10 years old, I walked long distances to school. I fetched water and carried it on my head. And I helped my mom sell vegetables door to door, knocking on doors. My life looked so hopeless. I had no idea what God had planned. And God used Kathy's words to remind me, everyone watching this has a story too. Yours may look different, and your struggles may not match mine. But tulitoka mbali, we've all come from far. And the Lord is not done with you. He is not. He still has great plans for your life. He can carry you even farther if you walk with Him. If you watched my Lemons to Lemonade video and saw even a glimpse of where I started, then you already know. If God did it for me, He can do it for you. And He's not done. Your starting point is not your identity. It's your testimony in progress. You don't need to quit your job, and you don't need a dramatic leap. You don't need to make the mistakes I made. But many people believe they need to give up their job, they need to make these drastic changes. No. God multiplies what you steward, not what you fear. That call with Kathy, and that unexpected text from Ashley, and the timing of all those conversations. I mean, who does that? So for that reason, I knew this video needed to be made. If it brought clarity or courage to you, please share it with someone standing right at the edge. And if you'd like to see the stories I mentioned, watch Ashley's video and the one where I turned my home into an Airbnb. I'll provide both links in the description. May God guide your next step. See you in the next video. Bye for now.